Horror Coast to Coast is a movie review podcast featuring strong language, horror film spoilers, and discussions of violence, gore, and disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Horror Coast to Coast, where we review horror movies from opposite sides of the continental U.S. From the 50-yard line, I'm Brian.
And from the law offices of Asmodeus, I'm Michelle.
This week we're reviewing Him from 2025, directed by Justin Tipping.
Right, so Cameron Cade is a rising quarterback who suffers a potentially career-ending injury after being attacked by an unhinged fan. Just when all seems lost, Cam receives a lifeline when his hero Isaiah White offers to train him at an isolated compound. However, as the training accelerates, Isaiah's charisma turns into something darker, sending Cam down a disorienting rabbit hole that may just cost him more than he ever bargained for.
All right.
So I'm already alert by the fact that it says he's attacked by an unhinged fan. I mean, I don't know if that's what we're led to believe at the beginning, but it's definitely not true.
Yeah, it's at least a misdirect, but I picked up on that too.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel when the online summaries I think that's one of the first things we always harp on is whether the summary that we've gotten online is an accurate representation of the movie that we expect to watch, which is kind of a weirdly important thing, because I do depend on that a little bit when I go to look at what a movie's about. I have expectations and they're definitely shaped by what I've seen about the movie. So if the little blurb is even a little bit off, it kind of throws my expectations a bit and makes me a little bit sour, I guess.
I mean, that's really the oldest lore to this podcast, because the first thing we ever did when we started is you read the description of The Exorcist, and we harped on how completely wrong it was.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Is there some responsibility to the people who give you these summaries that expect you to go to the movies wanting to see a certain type of movie or wanting to see a certain type of storyline? Do they have any responsibility towards the viewers to say, here's what you're going to go see, and then it turns out to be a fucking lie? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to say right now, before we even get into the discussion, I fucking loved this movie. And this entire podcast, this entire episode is going to be a slap in the face to all the fucking internet haters because I loved this movie.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this movie and you've heard all the hate online, definitely just give it a chance with an open mind. I feel like a lot of people were just jumping on a bandwagon and they had like totally different and sometimes incoherent reasons for hating it.
Right.
Like, a lot of people wanted a lot of different movies out of this movie.
Yeah. And I think that they had expectations of it being a certain thing because Jordan Peele's name was attached to it, which is
Yeah.
unfair, but also I think a little bit of a silly criticism, because at the end of the day, you could still see the Jordan Peele influenced on a lot of these shots. I think it was very
Yeah.
apparent that Jordan Peele had some creative input into this movie, but also apparent that he wasn't completely making all the creative choices. And so I think it's unfair for people to say that they were let down because their expectations were more in line with something like Us or, Nope or something like that. Like they were really expecting a movie like that. And then they got a movie like this, which honestly, I have to still say, I don't even think it was all that different than what I would have expected, knowing that Jordan Peele's name was attached to it. I think it was still similar to those kinds of movies.
Yeah. And on Letterboxd, I saw reviews, some that said this is Jordan Peele's worst movie, and others that said this is Jordan Peele's best movie. So people watched this whole movie not knowing it wasn't directed by Jordan Peele and also came out on the opposite sides of their opinions.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a very eye-opening experience reading the reviews after having seen the movie, because I read the reviews. I think I may have read maybe one article that was written. I think I read the Roger Ebert.com article before I saw the movie. And then
Oh,
when
okay.
I saw the movie, I came back, and I think is when I went through the Letterbox reviews and I went through some of the Rotten Tomato reviews. Yeah, not at all in line with that. And not at all aligned with or in agreement with any of that stuff that I read. Maybe a couple of people who said things like, this was a movie about atmosphere and it was about, not necessarily about a linear plot line, et cetera. But we can get into all that.
Yeah, and I read that Ebert review too. Yeah, I was not a fan of that review. It was very dismissive.
Very
It's like
dismissive.
this is your your career is reviewing movies, and this is the one that's like, oh, I can't believe I had to get out of bed and see him. Like, is this really the offensively bad movie that you had to
Yeah.
review out of all of them?
Honestly, I think
That's crazy to
the
me.
worst part of that article is that he states that he thinks Marlon Wayans is too old for the role.
And I was gonna bring this up, which is it's so annoying to me. And there's this obsession with actor age, and people just completely disregard what people look like and like how they come
Right.
off. Because I didn't think Marlon Wayans in this seemed any older than like Tom Brady at the age of his retirement.
100%. I mean, or even what's his face? I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, yes, I agree with you. Brett Favre is who I was thinking of. But I was thinking about that a little bit when I was listening to our draft for I Saw the TV Glow, and I definitely commented on how both of the actors in that movie are 30 playing 14-year-olds. And my comments were geared towards how impressed I was that they were able to pull off being so young, having in reality being 30, which I think is I think honestly, to expect a 30-year-old to be able to play a 14-year-old is a bit of a stretch. So I was surprised, and I was delightly, I was pleasantly surprised that they did it so well. But I never, for the life of me, would have watching this movie seen Marlon Wayans going, "Ugh, I can't believe that he's this age playing however old he's supposed to be." I mean, he's supposed to be a quarterback who is at the tail end of his career, which could be anything from mid to late 40s, right? We've seen this in the past. And Marlon Wayans is what? Early 50s? Like, I just don't think that
Yeah.
that was that was just him, again, being an internet hater. I don't think that was a valid critique. I don't think that
Yeah.
was a critique worthy of, like, giving somebody pause about why this movie has less merit than it does. Anyway, hard disagree.
To put it on another level, spoiler alert, he's doping with like magic blood ritual blood. So even if he was in his early 50s, yeah, I'd buy that you can be a football player in your early 50s if you have magic goat blood.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I also saw this week this tweet going around where someone's like talking about the new season of Stranger Things, and they're like, we're gonna have 30-year-olds being like friends don't lie. And first of all, the characters are like 18 and the people playing them are like 22 to 24.
Agree, yeah.
And also, kids now objectively look younger than they did in the 80s. If you look at a 19-year-old in the 80s and you look at Finn Wolfhard probably looks
Yeah,
younger.
agree. You're right. I mean, absolutely. We watched Slumber Party Massacre, and those women were 27 playing 17 and 18-year-olds, and that wasn't even,
Exactly.
something to blink at, like, it was normal. But yeah, I agree. I agree that it's absolutely silly for people to harp on the fact that the Stranger Things cast is older than their characters, and maybe it's because they are thinking back to the fact that when the show started, they were very close to or at least the same age as the characters are supposed to be, but production times in between episodes and between seasons doesn't allow them to keep up with the people as they age, right? But who the fuck
Yeah.
cares? Like, do you
Yeah.
like the show? Do you wanna see the last season wrap up? I do. Are you really gonna be all that mad about the fact that the characters are gonna have to be a little bit younger than the actual actors are? People are just so obsessed with stuff like that, and it gets so annoying because it takes away from, like I mean, it doesn't take away from me, but I think that they are inhibiting their own ability to enjoy something based on something extremely superficial.
And it gets under my skin because it's literally gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Like, the examples we just talked about, I mean, the actors might be older, but the characters look the age they're supposed to
Yeah.
be. And if you go back to, like, 80s and 90s movies, that is very often not even close to the case. We have 27-year-olds who look 30 playing 17-year-olds.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's an interesting phenomenon considering how people are still, I would say, obsessed with youth and continuing to be obsessed with youth as we are in our culture, and not even appreciating the fact that, the young are actually looking younger now. So you can't be so mad about them being a little bit older and playing someone the a younger age. Actually, speaking of 27, did you know that I didn't know this until, like, maybe a few months ago? Charisma Carpenter was 27 at the start of Buffy in season 1, which is wild to me because she
Wow.
looks so young, and
Yeah, she looks
she
19.
looks like a teenager, and I mean, if you see her now, she's still, like, fucking beautiful, but she looks super young, and I would have never, ever thought that she was that much older than the rest of the cast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay. So we start when Cameron Cade is a kid, and I didn't look at that kid's age, but he's
Yep.
played by the cutest little kid.
That kid's
That kid
adorable.
was so adorable, but he's in this, like, kind of I don't wanna say mausoleum, but it's almost like a little bit of a there's a little bit of, like, a football altar surrounding the
Yeah.
TV where he's watching a game, or maybe I can't even tell if it's a game or if his dad is forcing him to watch gameplay. That was something
I think it's the Super
It is, so
Bowl.
he's watching a pivotal game, right? And he's watching this game.
I think later he says that his dad made him watch this part over and over again, but I think at this point, the one we're watching is him actually watching the Super Bowl with his hero, Isaiah White, the GOAT.
Of the time, yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
his dad and his family's around him, and they're obviously fans of the team, and the team I can't remember the name of the team, but they're called it's a
The
fictitious
team is the
team. The
Saviors.
Saviors, yeah.
Yeah, so I heard people say, that The Saviors was too on the nose, and
What?
I was listening to one podcast, and they said, like, "Yeah, there's no, like, religious teams like that," and then the co-host
Like
was like,
the
"Well, this the
Saints?
Saints." It's like, "Oh, yeah." But, imagine an alternate world where the sports team in this is the Patriots. Everyone would be like, "Oh, that's so on the nose." They called it the Patriots
Yeah.
because football is that on the
Yeah.
nose.
Yeah, that's so funny. I hadn't seen any criticisms like that, but when I said, "Oh, I forget the name of the team," the first thing that came to my mind was the Saints, and I was like, "No, that's a real team."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
something
mean,
like
it's
that.
basically the same
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, people can be so extra.
Yeah, it's the San Antonio Saviors.
Okay. So so yeah, Isaiah White is the star quarterback of the Saviors, and Cameron Cade is a little kid. He's maybe 7 or 8 years old watching this game, and his family's all around him. They're obviously fans of the team. They I can't quite tell if they have, like, dreams of him doing this when he gets older. You can't tell what talent he has at that age, but you can see that there is a bit of pressure from his dad at
Well,
least
yeah, his
to
dad's hyping him up. He's like, "You're gonna be the
Right,
GOAT, right?"
right, and
And
there's
he's like,
no
"Yeah."
reason to believe that he's capable of it. There's just his dad, like,
Yeah, I
pushing him
mean,
because he's so small that you're like, "What
yeah.
do you mean he's gonna be the GOAT? Does he play football? Does he like it?" None of that matters. And yeah, you already get this deep sense of, like, worship coming from that scene, and it's a little I think it's supposed to be a reflection of how people really are when it comes to football, when it comes to their favorite team, but I actually think it takes it a tiny bit farther because of the way the trophies are situated on the wall, the way the TV is, like, it is kind of surrounded by all of the memorabilia, and then the way the kid is, like, sitting in front of the TV with his eyes just, like, wide watching it, and his dad kind of encouraging him to, "This is gonna be you one day."
Yeah, and while he's doing this, the image on the screen is like a hypnotic swirl that's red, white, and
Yeah.
blue, and his dad's, like, hyping him up and, talking about, like, sacrifice and glory and all that, so it's like
Right, because in that scene, Isaiah White gets hurt.
yeah, Isaiah White, he wins the Super Bowl, but he breaks his, like, femur in
Yeah,
half, and you get, like, a close up, it's just, like, dangling on a string, it's clearly, like, there's no way he would ever be able to play football
yeah,
again.
and the dad is basically praising that, and he I think it's where he's like, "Yeah, you have to be a man, you have to make sacrifice." It's, like, clearly this, like, toxic culture bleeding through and permeating this little kid's, like, understanding of everything. I mean, it was sad to watch, it really was, because you know that there are families like this, there are children who have to go through stuff like this, so a really emotional and kind of, like, uh I don't know. Some people, I think, see this kind of thing and they say, "Yeah, yeah, so what?" But I don't know. I feel like this is something that we need to pay attention to. This is something that we should look at and be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. So, we flash forward and, Cam's a very good football player, and his dad has just passed away, and he's, like, doing interviews, and so I don't know much about football. I Do you know what combine is?
No, and I didn't look it up, but I did get an impression from a movie that what happens is they all kind of get together. I don't think it's like it's not the training camp, but I think it's the thing where they all kind of get together and showcase their abilities. And so being asked to go
Yeah,
to this is an indication that they are primed to be a top pick for, like, the next draft. That was the impression I got,
yeah,
and if somebody feels like they wanna correct me in the comments, whatever, I honestly truly don't give a fuck, but that's I think that understanding is enough that you need for the movie.
yeah. So, so Cam's manager, who is played by Tim Heidecker, it's like, playing another dickhead like he did in Us. Speaking of Us, that first scene gave me some Us vibes. It felt very
Yes,
Jordan
it
Peele,
really did.
and the way it was centered around the kid version of the protagonist and his father reminded me of Us, and then also, like, the TV
Yeah,
aspect.
absolutely. 100%, and the this is what happened in the past and how it's gonna connect to the future. I mean, I think that was definitely a theme in Us, like how the past
Yeah,
events in the past shape what's going on later on in a way that maybe you don't appreciate until a certain point in the story. I mean, like I said, I think that there's influences of Jordan Peele all over this movie in a way that I don't know, I think it's great. I love it. Um, but yeah, so he's talking about going to the combine and being one of the top picks. He's doing these interviews, and then I guess he hasn't either he's been chosen or he hasn't quite they haven't announced that he's been chosen, I do not remember. But his family is on edge, and he's dating someone who's also like I really, really liked the girlfriend in this because I really liked the fact that she was very not stereotypical. She was not a basketball wife. She was very much like, "Look, if you don't do this, I don't care." Like, you know what I mean? Like, we'll still be able to do something with our lives. We can make something of ourselves together. And that was very clear that she was not trying to just stick with him because he was famous, because he was gonna be rich, whatever. Um, Maybe that's not true in the end, but the impression that I think the movie tried to give was that she was his genuine partner.
yeah. Okay, so, one day when Cam is practicing on, like, an empty field, he sees the football is just, like, spinning like the top from, Inception. It just, like,
Yes.
won't stop spinning,
Yeah.
and Cam's, like, distracted by this, and then someone in a mascot costume comes up behind and cracks him in the head with, like, I think it's a hammer.
Yeah. It's a lot. Holy shit. I wasn't expecting that, and it happens very early in the movie, and it's scary. I mean, he's on the field practicing alone, which I didn't think was a thing, but all the lights are still on, and I guess he's supposed to, like, lock up the field after he's done, whatever that means. I mean, it felt like something that a person is responsible for that, like, runs the facility or keeps an eye on the facility. Who knows? But I think he's told to like lock up afterwards. And
Yeah.
and then this random football spinning and this thing in the mask. It's like a full on demonic suit and it like cracks him in the head pretty fucking hard. And then it's lights out for him.
Yeah.
God.
So he wakes up in the hospital and they're saying that he has like a brain injury, and if he takes another hit to the head, he risks permanent brain damage or death.
Yeah. And they show you the injury.
Yeah.
You see the injury with like the
All throughout
staples.
this movie, we get like these x-ray shots wherever he's taken a hit to the head, and we keep seeing this crack and from the inside, and then on the outside it's stapled up. It looks like a football all stitched up.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I just thought you could see the staples in his head, which was so intense. I didn't even think that. Oh, it looks like a football. Huh, interesting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then he is having this conversation with his mom and the doctor about basically whether he should continue, and the mom is like, "He'll be fine." And the doctor's like, "But he may not be." And
Well, the
he's kind
doctor's
of
like, "As a doctor, I can't recommend he ever plays football again." And his mom's like, "Yeah, but what about, like, as a fan?"
yeah, see? Yeah, she
Like,
the
what the
doctor's like,
fuck?
"I really don't think he should be playing anymore," and the mom is like, "Yeah, but could he?" And he's sort of, like, in in the middle of I don't know, you can just tell that there's conflict. You can tell there's internal conflict, and I think that that was one of the things that I really liked about this actor, who I've never seen in anything else before. I know he's been in other things, but um I don't know him from anything else, but in this, I felt like he was really, really good at portraying internal conflict really well because even in this scene where he knows I'm risking my physical well-being if I continue doing this, and is it really worth it? You can just see all those questions that he's struggling with. And do I want to let down my mom? Do I want to let down the memory of my dad, et cetera, et cetera? And it was just interesting to watch him kind of go through all that. And eventually he says, somewhat reluctantly, like, I'll be fine. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, so this actor, Tyrese Withers, I guess he played for FSU, so he's like an actual
Okay.
football player. And the scene before
Okay.
the, spinning football when he's, like, throwing the football and hitting the post, apparently he actually hit the post on one of those shots.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
so,
cool.
like, he's, like, showing off the being the GOAT scene, like, is at least half actually that football player's talent. And, yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
liked his
No.
performance a lot. I've seen some criticism of him that, like, he didn't emote enough or he was stiff, but I feel like it was part of the character that he didn't really feel like he had agency, and he just felt like, "This is the track, I gotta stay on it," and also he was literally brainwashed in, like, multiple ways, so
Yeah.
I
And
disagree with.
at the time this conversation is happening, he has a brain injury.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought his performance was great, and I think the things that people were criticizing were intentional and actually well done because that's just part of the character.
Yeah, for sure. So then we see him at a party, I think? His cousin or his I don't think he has a brother, I think it's his cousin that's like, "We're going to a party," and they go to this, like, college party or something. And, of course, he is the center of attention, and he's not really in the mood to be the center of attention, so he goes off by himself.
Yeah.
And he ends up in a bathroom, and then he gets a call from his agent, and his agent says, "We have a chance for you to be in the combine if you still wanna do it, but first, you need to go to this training camp with Isaiah White. Would you be interested in that?" He's basically like, "Holy shit, he's my idol. Fuck yes, I would do this." And at the same time, his cousins barge in, and they're like, "What are you doing? Hold up in this bathroom, guy. Like, we're partying for you." And and that's when he announces, like, "I'm going to the combine. It's gonna happen."
Oh, I thought he wasn't going to Combine and he was doing this instead.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I mean, we can look that up. I think this was the condition under which he could be a part of the combine because with the brain injury, it may have, like, automatically disqualified him, and then if he did this training camp with Isaiah White, who would then, like, check off, "Yes, he's good to go," then he can be a part of it, and that's why he agreed. I'm not entirely clear. I may have just made all of that up
Okay.
so that it made sense to me because I'm not entirely, um, I don't know all the rules about football and drafting and stuff like that, but I was just sort of, like, filling in the gaps as I watched the movie. But it could have been completely wrong. But either way, it leads him to
Well, I did see some criticism from football fans that, like, this doesn't understand the way things are supposed to work, but it didn't affect my viewing because I also don't understand how it's supposed to work. But something about, like, the Saviors, Isaiah White won the Super Bowl for the Saviors, and for some reason they have first draft pick. I guess they shouldn't. But also there's, like, a satanic cult pulling strings, so who cares?
right. And I was gonna say that I think, at the end of the day, anybody who, quote, unquote, "knows football" and is watching this movie, I wanna know, like, uh, maybe if an NFL player was like, "That's not how it works," I'd listen. But, like, everybody else who's just been, like, watching football, maybe they played in college, blah, 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 I don't give a shit. That doesn't make you, like, a master movie critic, and honestly, it's like when you watch a historical documentary or something with someone or a historical movie with somebody and then they critique it for not being historically accurate. Like, I just don't fucking care, it doesn't detract from the movie. Leave me alone. That's what I have to say
I
to
mean,
people.
I get it. If it was something I cared about, I get it. Like, if it would probably annoy me. It's like, I know gun nuts have to deal with all kinds of nonsense in like every movie ever, and it probably gets annoying.
I suppose.
But I think in this movie, when it's not even actually the NFL, it's like a fictional team and there's literal like satanic cults like pulling strings and stuff, I feel like you should be able to forgive it.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe I'm a little bit spoiled as an attorney because I have Law& and Order where they try very, very hard to make sure they're doing things that are legally accurate, or other legal procedure shows where they're actually, like, consulting with attorneys in the writing of the script and stuff like that. So, maybe this is just something I don't have to deal with too often on a personal level. And also, I still have some resentment for all these fucking reviews. So, it's coming out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But okay, so he gets this offer to go train with his idol, Isaiah White, who is, basically on his way out as the quarterback of the Saviors, and Cameron
Yep.
stands as the possible next draft. And so this is like a big moment of a potential torch passing. So he travels to
Yeah.
what looks to me like a random desert in California.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of the scene is a little bit strange.
Yeah, apparently this is filmed at a spaceport. I think it's in
What?
New Mexico. Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yes.
Um, okay, so I thought this was like a Joshua Tree type place, especially with
I mean,
the
it's out there somewhere.
yeah, especially with the people
It's either in, like,
who
Arizona or New Mexico.
yeah, or like a Burning Man location or something. Especially with the people who are all painted in white.
Oh, yeah. And you know what it reminded me of? These fans. I heard, Patrick in my head saying, "Man, these are some ugly looking fish."
Yes, oh my goodness. That's really funny. Yeah, that was basically what it was because it's all the people painted and they're standing outside the SUV as he's pulling in and he's driving towards the compound and all of these people who are like Isaiah White fans and they're just parked outside of his complex, like camped outside of his complex. I don't quite understand what that was about, but I'll just like accept that it happens because I'm not like a person who has that kind of time really. But yeah, they drive up to his complex and there's all these people that are painted white and they're hanging out and they're mad at him for coming onto the complex as the prospective
Yeah.
replacement. And the car is like attacked and spit on and ugh, it's gross.
Yeah, yeah, she hawks a big loogie on the car
Ugh,
window, and the driver's like, "Man, these Isaiah fans are like a cult," which is
on the nose.
a little on the nose. Yeah, there's a couple very on the nose moments in this movie.
That would have been the moment where he said, "Man, these are some ugly fish." That would have been very funny. And this is where if we get to the next obvious Jordan Peele influence, I think they pull up, he goes up to the door, and there is a shot of him standing at the door, but you can't quite tell it's a door. It's just a shot of him by himself in front of a wall, like a little alcove kind of. And there are Amazon boxes stacked next to him. And so that's how you know it's the door. It's the front
Oh,
door.
yeah.
And the shot kind of lingers on him for a few seconds because he's looking around like, do I bring these boxes in? And then he ultimately does, and he grabs the boxes and he takes them inside, and you're like, oh shit, that was his front door. So that was a cool shot. And so I liked that a lot. It was very color blocked and clean
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought, oh, I can see
Yeah.
Jordan Peele's influence there or choice. I don't know if it's true. Maybe he'll be like, I didn't fucking decide to do that. That was the actual director. But in my mind, he made that decision. So he gets there.
Yeah, Cam meets Isaiah White, and he's, like, tanning hides when he gets there.
Yeah. And it's great because he starts out at intensity 0. It's just he's so
Yeah.
calm, he's so serene, and he's telling him like, "Oh, I like to come out here and just, like, be one with nature and let myself relax," and he's tanning his hide, so, like, it's very funny because you know what happens later on as the intensity increases, but he really starts at, like, baseline 0.
Yeah. Oh, he says that, he has to give up his cell phone, no distractions.
Right, he gives him the rules, and the rules are, like, no sex, no cell phones. There's a couple of other things that maybe feel like they should have stung a little bit, but they were just like, "Okay, whatever. He's obviously there to train. He's someone who's dedicated to what he does." So, I I don't know. That emphasis on, like, no cell phones, whatever, just feels like, "Alright, I guess they're treating him like he's a high schooler, and this is a punishment or whatever," but at the end of the day, it ends up being like, "Oh, we see why you wanted to cut him off completely." Um, and then his training begins.
Yeah. So they do all kinds of, crazy drills. The first one has a pitching machine throwing footballs at a guy's face if Cam doesn't make his throw.
Yeah. It's pretty, it escalates pretty quickly because it starts with them just kind of doing drills, doing passing drills with a group of guys who have apparently been conscripted to do training with him, and at first they're just doing
Yeah.
passing drills, and then it's escalated from there. And we also meet the doctor here, um,
Oh, yeah.
who is just this British guy, and I actually don't even know the actor who plays him.
He's an Australian comedian named Jim Jeffries.
Okay, so he's not British, he's Australian, and he's there to patch people up after they're injured, and that's that's a normal thing. You would assume that these kinds of things result in injuries, and he's there to patch people up. But as they're running these crazy ass drills where they put the guy in front of what was that machine?
I mean, I don't know what you call it. It reminds me of a pitching machine
Yeah,
from baseball, but
but
I
they
don't know
put a
what they
they
call the football equivalent.
okay. Yeah, it's like a pitching machine, but they put the football in it and they have a guy stand like 6
Yeah.
feet away, and every time Cam, like you said already, every time Cam misses a pass, they let one loose into this man's face. But the doctor is just sitting there and he doesn't intervene. He doesn't like you think he's there to provide medical attention. But then when this happens, he's sitting there and he's kind of got this expression on his face like, "Oh fuck, my license is on the line right now." And you can see him be like,
Yeah.
"Ah, damn."
First, the first time it happens, Cam's like, "What the hell are we doing here? Like, what is this?" And, like, no one reacts.
Yeah.
And then he keeps going and he, like, protests again, and he sees that it's getting nowhere, so he just keeps going until this guy's, like, on the ground, and then he's like, "Hey, Doctor Marco, are we gonna, like, help this guy?" And he just, like, looks up at him like, "I don't know."
Yeah, so that happens, and this is where the intensity starts to increase because Isaiah White is like, "What is it that you want? Like, what are you here for? You're here to get better. You're here to be the best. So do that and not let things like caring for your fellow human being be a distraction."
Yeah.
And so you're just like, "Okay, he's a fucking psycho." But Cam plays along, and he does what he's supposed to do, and he keeps on going because at this point, he's starting to feel the stakes. And I think that he's effectively being held hostage at this point. And then at the end of the day,
Yeah.
he completes the passes, and the guy who's got his face all, like, fucked up is just like, "That was great. Thanks for letting me do that."
You think he's, like, dead, but then he gets up, he starts laughing, he's like, "Did we get ya?" And Cam's like, "Yeah, I guess. I mean, your face is crushed in, so yeah, you got me?"
Yeah. There's another scene where he's basically being asked to fight back when he's getting sacked. It's something like they're coming at him and it's his job to, like, defend himself. And so at first he's like, "I'm not really sure what to do." And then Isaiah yells at him. And then we get that shot where he the two people collide, and he, like, one of them smashes into the other. You get the flash of the X-ray and then blackout, and you think that it's Cam, but really it's Cam who smashed into the other one, and that guy's the one who falls on the ground. And so you're like, "Oh shit, he's now gotten." And Isaiah's like, "I'm proud of you, because like, you stepped up, you did what I asked
Yeah.
you to do, and it doesn't matter if you are taking life or limb from people, this is what you need to do to be the best." And he just is like, "Okay, I guess I'll just do it. Okay, okay." It's wild. And the status of his own TBI is kind of up in the air at this point, right? Because obviously, how's he gonna crack somebody in the head? And how's he gonna have a helmet collision and not be affected? But he seems to have come out on top.
Yeah.
But yeah, that training day was crazy.
I think this is when after this is, I think, when he gets the first shrug emoji shot from Dr. Marco,
Yeah.
and he doesn't tell him what it is, he's just like, "Yeah, it'll make the pain go away, don't worry."
Yeah. And they put him in they put him in this, like, deprivation tank after he's been training.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, I guess it's an ice bath, really. He's in an ice bath, and
Yeah.
Dr. Marco gives him the shot, and in the corner, Isaiah is giving his blood. He's getting blood drawn, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"One day you'll need this." And you're like, "Wait, what?"
And he tells him it's his own blood from, like, a better day, and then he takes it to, get refreshed, basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And
right.
then he leaves, and Cam's in the ice bath, and then shit just starts getting weird. Like, the room gets bigger and, like, changes color, and basically Cam's either having, like, a dream or a hallucination.
Yeah.
And then this other guy is like, "Wake the fuck up!" or something like that.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's back in his bed. And we didn't
Yeah.
mention we're not gonna demarcate this, but the movie is broken up into segments based on the number of days that Cameron is at the compound. And so the first day is when they do the exercise with the football throwing machine into that guy's face. And the second day, I think, is this when this guy wakes him up, but it continues to break up the movie into these days, and I don't quite remember exactly where all of those days occur. Um, but one of the things they do is they on the first day is they take his measurements, and they take, like, every piece of data from whom they possibly can, his height, his weight, his every piece of measurement, which I thought was interesting because, like, you assume they do that in general, but he was sort of behaving as if it was strange. And so I couldn't tell if this was, like, over the top, but it was obviously a scene that was meant to emphasize how much he is being valued only for his physical prowess and his body, which I thought was very effective.
Yeah, but I also think that, like, it might be normal for the NFL to do it. I don't know if it's normal for, like, a random player you're training with to do it. And he also strips down, like, completely naked,
Yeah.
basically at their request, but then Dr. Marco's like, "Why'd you get completely naked? That's weird. You're weirding me out."
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that he was just
And they're
being
just like, "Okay, what the
I
fuck?"
think he was just being, like, tongue in cheek, like, putting a little bit of humor into it
I
because
mean, yeah, that
he knew that, like, it's a situation that, like, they're both stuck in, and it sort of felt like that was his role. It's, like, very, very, dismal humor, but I kind of thought that was really the point. And then, at the end of the day, it didn't even really change much. And he's like, I guess, okay, you definitely just told me to get naked, but whatever.
Yeah. I think there's a bunch of more hallucination scenes where Cam's seeing, like, people in masks, like mascots sneaking up behind him, and
Yeah.
he's, like, getting lost in halls, and he ends up in the sauna with Isaiah.
Right. This is the most down to earth conversation they have. It is like the most disarming that I think Isaiah is in the entire movie. He sits there, he talks about, what you want to do with yourself after you're done playing football. And Cam has an idea. He has a plan, which is so interesting because you can tell that Isaiah seemed a little envious of the fact that not only does he have a plan, he doesn't plan on devoting his entire life to football. And he kind of supports that. And he says, good, go and do that. Don't be mean. And it's the only time in the whole movie where he is like that. And he says, good, go and do what you're doing. Don't be mean. And you don't know what that means. You can assume it means
Yeah.
he's devoted his whole life. He's maybe into some evil shit at this point, which you don't know now, but you know later on. And it's nice because it's this real mentorship conversation, and you can see what it is that Cameron admired about him to begin with, and you can see that underneath all of the pressure to perform and all of the choices that he maybe wishes he could take back, Isaiah has an understanding of the situation and an understanding of what he's asking of the system they're in, really. So I really enjoyed that, the fact that that conversation was included. There's a couple of jokes. They're laughing with each other, and I thought that that was a really important scene in the movie.
Yeah. And then Isaiah leaves, and Cam's, like, basically, like, falling asleep, and then that woman we saw earlier who spit on the windshield slowly crawls out from underneath the bench that he's sitting on. Apparently, she was there for
The
that whole
whole time?
conversation because we didn't, like. Yeah. So she heard that conversation too. I wonder what she thought of it.
Oh my god, that was so scary.
But
That was
anyway,
so scary, and let me just say,
she, like, screams and, like. Yeah,
I was gonna say
go on.
there's a procedural show with, Gillian Anderson, and I can't remember what it's called, where she's, like, a detective, and the main perpetrator in that show has a scene where one of the victims is, like, sitting on her bed, maybe putting some socks on or something, and he crawls out from under her bed, like, limb by limb. It's so fucking scary, and so the scene where that lady does that, where her arms just, like, reach out, it's so fucking scary. That is, like, one of the scary movie
Yeah.
tactics that always gets me.
Yeah, this feels like something you'd see in a Japanese horror movie.
Yes! Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, really fucking scary.
But
Uh,
anyway, she tries to smash Cam's face in with, like, the hot sauna rock, but she stupidly screams before doing it, so he, like, wakes up and dodges her, and he's, like, choking her, but he doesn't completely, like, kill her, and then Isaiah comes and kisses her and throws her into the wall and kills her.
yeah.
And he's like,
It
"Woo!"
was weird. It was a lot. And then the rest of her, like, acolytes come through, and they're like, "Oh, no, you killed her." Like, what did she expect was gonna happen? This woman is,
Yeah.
like, 5 foot nothing, trying to attack a 6'5" athlete at the height of his career, like, or at the beginning of what's gonna be the height of his career. Like, I just don't know what
Well,
she
if she
sees
didn't scream, she
coming of
would've
this.
killed him.
Yeah, I
If
guess
she
so,
didn't
but then the people
scream
are,
and
like,
wake him up,
upset.
she coulda got the jump on him.
I I
Yeah, I
I guess
mean,
that was the point. She was
they're
trying to get the jump on
insane
him.
cultists. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and she coulda,
but
she's just
then
dumb,
so
but I
here
mean,
here's
these
my question.
characters are.
So here's my
Yeah.
question. After after this happens, um, the next thing that they do is Isaiah takes Cam, shooting, like target shooting. And he has certain things set up in the distance in the
Yeah.
desert for them to just shoot at with rifles. And one of the things is suspiciously a person that looks alive, covered in like wearing a mascot helmet. And
Oh, yeah,
it's
it's her.
her, right? But she's not dead.
Oh, is she
Is
alive? Is there any signs of life?
So I thought that she was moving or breathing or something, but
Okay. I didn't notice that, but it was definitely her because Cam's literally, like, asking, like, "So what happened with that lady?"
okay, it's definitely her. But Cam doesn't realize that. It's just a secret for the audience, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, he should know because the way it happens is he asks, like, "Whatever happened to that lady?" And Isaiah's like, "What lady?" And then they drag out this what is clearly a person in a mascot outfit. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that lady. Anyway, take the shot." It's like,
Yeah,
"Cam, you're
he does
real
do that.
dumb if you didn't add up those pieces."
Yeah, he does do that. That's very funny. Yeah, whatever. Take the shot. All right, so then they keep on training, and Cam continues to get these injections from Dr. Marcos, and eventually he meets Isaiah's wife, who is played by Julia Fox, who I don't really know much about her, but she's just like an media presence. I don't know. I thought nothing of her. I thought she
Yeah, I don't know the actress, but this character to me is if Paris Hilton was a American Horror Story
Yeah,
character.
maybe, especially with like the white eyebrows.
Yeah.
What was interesting about her is that when she came into the picture, it seemed very much like she was going to represent like a temptation of sex because that was the thing that he's not supposed to be engaging in. And while she did sort of represent that, it wasn't directly because she actually ends up being kind of a maternal figure for him, kind of showing him what is to be expected. And also don't mind Isaiah. He's a little over the top and et cetera, et cetera. So I thought her presence was supposed to be putting him at ease, but there was still something about her that was off that I think didn't put him at ease, which made it didn't put me at ease either. So
Or yeah, she was creepy as fuck.
yeah, exactly. She's creepy, but she takes him to some club, they party, and there's girls and there's drinking and whatever, and he has some kind of hallucinatory experience again, and he wakes up in his own bed. And Isaiah's sitting there with a gun, and he is like, "So, did you fuck her?" And Cam is like, no." And I don't exactly remember the rest of the exchange between them, but Isaiah goes from like, "I'm about to kill you" to, "Nah, it's all good. Don't worry about it." And you're just like, "Holy shit." The tension in this last 30 seconds was unbearable. And the best part is when he puts the gun in his own mouth and he's like, "I can just be a little, intense." And it was just like, delivery of your fucking career, Marlon Wayans.
Yeah.
I love that line where he's like, he's got a gun in his mouth and he's like, "Yeah, I know I can be a little, intense." It was just so good. I was like, I don't know who if you just came up with that on your own, if someone pushed you in that direction, but man, that worked so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, at that point in the movie, you're like, "Okay, we're in it. Some shit is happening. This is insane."
Alright, so then there's the second party, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And at the party, Marco whispers into his ear, "Run."
Yeah.
Isaiah's wife, Elsie, like, looks at him and he, like, shrugs,
Yeah.
and, like, she's pissed.
'Cause she can tell.
Yeah. So Cam goes forward and he's, like, tripping and all he walks past, like, the owner of the team and his agent and everything, and meanwhile, we see, like, Elsie stabbing off camera what we're about to be revealed as the severed head of Marco, and
Right.
then we get the title card. I think this is Sacrifice, like, the 6th day or something.
Yeah, and in that party, it's interesting because he walks up to this, like, booth where he's being celebrated yet again, and the doctor says, "Congratulations, Ron," or whatever. And he keeps on walking. And obviously what the doctor says kind of throws him off balance. And he's like, "I don't understand like why he's basically telling me, warning me against something." But then when he gets to the table, he sees his agent, and then he's like, "Hey, I know you. You are working for my best interest." And then the agent is like, "Yeah, and here's all these guys, and they're gonna give you what you want, and you're gonna be great and amazing, and come and sit and drink with us." And that's what he does. And that's the scene that we see while Julia Fox is off camera
Yeah.
stabbing someone. We see him drinking, and there's there's a lot of like the camera work is very dizzying
Yeah.
to kind of convey that he's not really in his right mind. He's not really this what's happening to him doesn't feel real, and it may not even be rooted in reality to an extent. And all those people there are celebrating him and also celebrating like their acquisition of him really.
Yeah.
And yet again, he wakes up.
Yeah. So he wakes up in an ice bath connected to an IV, and he rips out the IV, and he goes, oh, so all throughout the movie, Isaiah's been saying, like, I'm gonna go watch some tape.
Yeah. And it's like old tape of him playing other games.
Yeah. Cam walks in on him. He's got like this, what do you call it? Like an IMAX almost type screen that he's watching. Like crowds go wild for him.
Mhm. And it's on the ceiling, and he's, like, focused on specific parts of the crowd and things.
Yeah. And it looks like an eyeball. Like the screen itself looks like an iris.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it has this, like, weird fisheye effect.
Yeah. But at this point, Isaiah basically explains that he's the goat because he's been injected with the blood of the past goats, and they've been doing this for generations. And now it's Cam's turn, but only if he can kill Isaiah. So they have to fight to the
Right,
death.
right. Even though there's some I think he does kind of suggest, "I'm not ready to let go yet,"
Yeah.
and Cam is basically, "Well, that's too bad," and you can't really tell what Kim's feelings are. And one of the things that we, I think, skipped over is earlier in one of his trainings, they have him do all these interviews, like with the media. And in one of the interviews, and this is where I said that Julia Fox takes on like a maternal role because um she and Isaiah are like his parents guiding him through this process of like being in front of the media and doing like all the PR stuff. And in one of the interviews, he gives us his motivation, which I think is done brilliantly, and it completely explains the character and explains why he feels stiff, why he feels like incomplete, why he's so nuanced. He basically says, "I wasn't really into this, and I was basically gonna quit, and then my dad died, and now I feel like I can't quit because this is what he wanted for me, and since he's dead, I now feel like I have to continue to do this because it's literally the only thing he wanted for me." And when he says that, you kind of get I get it because that's why you feel this sense of reluctance from him. That's why you feel all the hesitation, all the tension, all the internal conflict is, "Why am I doing this? I don't even wanna do this." I feel like I don't want to at all, but, like, I'm good at it, and my family will be happy, and all the reasons, right? But, when he gets to the end and he's facing Isaiah, you sort of think, "Okay, I guess he doesn't really wanna do this, but he knows that this is what has to be done in order to, like, fulfill this dream he's trying to accomplish on behalf of his father." And so we watch him go through these motions, and in this first scene, it's a little bit strange because you're like, he seems injured, he seems like he may not be in his top physical form right now, whereas Isaiah was just, like, laying there chilling. But they have their fight to the death. They do.
I listened to an interview with Justin Tipping, and he said that that part about the father is like basically his autobiographical self insert. Like he put that in the movie because his dad died and he just felt like he needed to pour himself into the work when that happened. So he wrote that into the character. And yeah, I think that worked out pretty well. Because it wasn't originally his story, but he was the one who like got it and then he added that in when he was
Oh, okay.
rewriting it.
Because I think it explains so much about the nuances behind the character.
Yeah.
Just the idea that he's not doing this because he wants to. He's doing it because he feels like he owes it to someone. And that's a lot of I mean, obviously it came from somebody's real story. So it's clearly something that would and should resonate with lots of people, that there are things you do. There are I mean, that's the sacrifice aspect of it, right? But in this case, he's sacrificing his own life just to fulfill a goal, a dream like his dad wanted for him that he didn't even want for himself. So I thought that was very poignant and gave a lot of depth to the character.
Yeah. So during this fight, Isaiah breaks Cam's arm, but Cam manages to come out on top and he like bludgeons his skull in with a football helmet, I think.
Mhm. And it's a bloody scene. It really
Yeah.
is. But at that point, it's scary because you now see how much Isaiah has put into this. He's put his entire life into this, and in order to escape it, he has to die, and he knows it, and in order for him to not die, he has to essentially defeat this kid and stay in it stay in it, right? So there's really no way out for him. Either if he wins, then Cam's dead and he continues to be the quarterback, whether he wants to or not. But if he loses, then he's dead. And so you can see the crossroads that he's up against, and you can see all of the things that you can see the things that led him to where he is, and you can kind of see what shaped him as a person and a character. And I don't know. I thought it was just very, very poignant, just from a
Yeah.
film, a storytelling perspective. But anyway, yeah. So then he kills Isaiah and he leaves the room, and he's carrying something, and I don't remember what it is. It's like it's a weapon of some kind, or is it just a football helmet?
Um, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But I did want to point out, like, I think that all these, like, I'm gonna watch tape, I feel like Isaiah knows that this is like the last few days of his life. So he's like, let me like relive as much of it as possible.
Mm.
That's why he just like keeps exiting the movie. Like, fuck this. I need to go like live, relive my life
Yeah.
while I have a little bit of time.
And relive all the moments that I did this for. Like, I
Yeah.
did this for these moments, and I have them captured, so I wanna go experience it as much as I can while I have time, because otherwise, what was the point of all of this? The point of all of this was to have those moments, and that's what I wanna take with me as far as I can. So, yeah, really, really good observation. I didn't think about that, that he did leave the room several times to go watch tape. And I think his wife mentions it, like, "Oh, he's just going to watch some tape," and she doesn't think anything of it, but interesting. And then you learn later on that she's not just his wife,
Yeah.
as Cameron walks out into the courtyard, um, there's this whole elaborate setup.
Well, I'm not sure like what exactly happened. Like, so is this the football field they were training on earlier? I guess it's like part of the compound.
I really do not know where they are at this point. It seemed like an outside space that we hadn't been to yet.
Well, I think it's a football field, right?
Well, I don't know, because it's like maybe it is, but it's small. So I wasn't sure. It was just some kind of field.
Yeah, I feel like it might be the training field from earlier that they were doing the
But it
drills
was
on.
outside though. So that's why I was
Oh, was that
not
one
sure
not
where they
outside?
are. Yeah, the one where they were doing the drills earlier was indoors,
Oh,
and this
okay.
one is outside. So and it looked small, so maybe it's like a half field just so they could do like
Yeah.
shorter
So
practices,
I'm
but
not
I wasn't
sure.
sure that we had done anything here.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we are or how we got there because it's not like this is sometime later. Cam's still like covered in Isaiah's blood. But anyway, he
Yeah,
marches
he just
out here,
walks.
and all these guys are just prepared for him, and they're gonna have him sign the contract. So I guess they were just waiting and hoping that Cam would come out on top, because otherwise, there's no point of this contract ritual if it's Isaiah, I guess.
Well, if it's Isaiah, then Isaiah comes out and he re-signs the contract,
He
right?
resells his soul to Satan.
I mean, he re-signs it and is like, I'm still here." I don't know. I mean, he renews his contract. Why not?
Like, actually,
Uh, but
Satan,
yeah.
I've decided I'm gonna take my soul back. I'm not gonna sign back onto the Saviors.
Yeah. But the scene is interesting because it's got these soldiers like lined up. They're like the drum squad or something. And
Yeah.
then in the middle there's a big circle, and I don't remember if it's a pentagram or not.
It
I
is.
just remember it's a circle. It's a pentagram? Okay. And then she's sitting at a desk, handing him a pen,
Yeah.
and then behind her are all these dudes on, like, thrones,
Yeah,
which
it's
was
like
just so, like, "What?"
and there's, like, the owner of the team, and then everyone else has, like, mascot heads on, and then his
Yeah.
agent
And this
takes
is
off his because he's, like, hesitating. He's like, "What the fuck, Cam?
well,
After all this?"
he does that because he walks in and he kills someone. I don't remember who he
Oh,
kills,
yeah,
but he
yeah,
kills someone
first
immediately.
well, first he hesitates, and then he, like, picks up a hammer, and there's a guy behind him with a sword for some reason. I guess that guy was supposed
He's,
to
like, gonna
enforce that
coerce him, yeah.
well, that guy should be fired because he fails his job when Cam immediately kills him.
I mean, he was fired, basic
I mean, yeah, by Cam. And then Cam picks up the sword and, like, hurls it into the team owner's chest. And
Yeah.
then, Elsie gets up and she's like, "Ah, I have to do everything myself." And she has, like, a knife, and then she trips and stabs herself in the throat with the knife.
Stabs her yeah, she stabs herself with her own knife. I couldn't believe it, I was like, "What?" But really good alternative to having him, like, slice her up, because that just isn't a good look,
Yeah, I feel like they just did
right?
that
Because
'cause
she's
it's a little distasteful.
really distasteful if they had him, like, slice her up. So I kind of appreciate that they did it that way, and then she died in some very stupid way, and then the agent is like, "What the fuck, Cam? We did all this for you," and he's like he says nothing, which is the best part. He does this entire scene without speaking.
Yeah, and he kills a bunch of people, like, one-handed 'cause his throwing arm's broken or whatever,
Yeah.
and then he's about to kill his agent, and his agent's he, like, looks off screen, and he has a like, it seems like he's basically getting threatened by Satan off screen as he changes tune, he's like, "Kill me! Kill me! Kill me!" And so Cam doesn't. He spares him, and then he gets dragged into the center of the pentagram and, like,
Yeah. I mean, I
screams
think
off
he
screen and
realizes that,
dies.
"Oh, crap, we weren't able to secure your signature, so we have now breached our contract, and this demon is gonna be pissed." So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's like, "Oh my god, I would just rather you kill me than whatever that guy's about to do, so please just kill me." And he's like, "Oh, well, if that's gonna be worse, then I don't have to do anything."
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then the movie ends
Yeah, Cam just
pretty much
leaves.
at that point. He leaves. He's covered in blood. He is holding whatever weapon he has, and he walks out. And the drum team, I think, like, steps aside and just lets him go.
Yeah.
And it to me, I was like, "This is so amazing." I went to the movies with my friend, and at the end, we both looked at each other like, "Holy shit. I need to take a breath," because that scene is very intense. And also, just the whole experience of watching the movie was, like, building the tension little by little by little, and you kinda knew it was gonna happen, and you knew the story, you knew, like, "Okay, we get it, passing the torch, there's a devil involved, there's Satan worship, there's this, there's that." But there was just so much more going on at the same time, and one of the things that I really, really did not appreciate is the fact that people were not willing to look beyond their own, like, greedy expectations, I think, when it came to this movie.
Yeah. So there were a couple of alternate endings released.
What? Tell me, I don't know anything about them.
So the first one is an ending in which Isaiah survives and Cam signs on to the Saviors, and a, like, beaten to hell Isaiah is on a football field and he's watching on TV as Cam just won the Super Bowl. Someone's, like, feeding him a, pill, and he's, like, his face is all messed up, and he's, like, almost, like,
Oh
catatonic,
my god.
and yeah, so the ending where Cam sells his soul and I think Isaiah starts, like, laughing, and then the other one is, like, a scene that they add on to the end where Cam signed on to another football team and won the Super Bowl without Satan's help, but at
Mm.
the very last shot of the movie is that football just spinning like Inception. So, like, Satan's still
Ooh.
hanging over his shoulder. And I feel like maybe they
Yeah.
should have kept that one because that doesn't change the story too
Yeah,
much.
I think that second one may have been okay with me in terms of what this movie was trying to do. And I wrote about this. I did write a review on Letterboxd of the movie, and part of the reason I really liked it is not because it was this story about we're offering you fame and glory and here's what you have to do in order to get it. It was the story of Cam learning how to say no. It was him making the conscious decision that I'm not gonna be a part of this, and I don't particularly care what the consequences are, but I will not be part of this. And it was just so powerful to see that, and I think that that was really what sold me on this, and for to what you're saying, the ending where he continues to play football without having any supernatural assistance, but then the devil sort of or whatever demon who's a part of this contract deal is still watching him from a distance. I guess I could see that being a good ending, a satisfying ending, except I would wanna know more about this demon in order to feel like it makes sense why the demon would continue to fixate on him. Why him? Why not other athletes? Why is he?
Because he's him.
'Cause he's him? I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. But I sort of thought, it doesn't really matter. He's just him because these people have chosen him, but he's decided to say no, and so it could be anyone else, right? I mean,
Yeah, but if he
I found
decided
it
to say no and still won the Super Bowl, then he really is him.
mm, yeah, that's true. That's true. Interesting. There's something I wanted to mention about, like, the comment on, like, athletes and black bodies, etcetera, because
Mhm.
at the end of the movie, we see that, obviously all of the people who are on those thrones are, like, old white guys.
Mhm.
And I think that's supposed to be a clear comment on how this whole system, these franchises are controlled and directed by old rich white men. And the people who are a part of the franchise, who are the puppets in these franchises, are getting the fame and the glory and the money, etc. But they're not getting any agency or control.
During that final fight scene with Cam and Isaiah, Cam asks Isaiah what the opposite of a savior is, and Isaiah's like, "A killer." And as Cam kills him, he says, "No, a mascot." And that's a callback to earlier where he said, "Don't be a mascot." And that kinda ties into the way they just wanna use him as a mascot, essentially.
Right. So if he says the opposite of a savior is a mascot, he's essentially saying Isaiah White is a mascot
Yes.
and not a savior.
Right.
Okay, I could see that.
Oh, also, this movie was originally gonna be called Goat.
Huh. Which is interesting because of the demonic connections, right?
Yeah. But apparently they couldn't call it that because Steph Curry is making a movie about an animated goat who's the greatest of all time.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay. Well, I think I buried the lead here when I said that I love this movie. I flat out gave it 5 stars, and I'm not taking it back.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I'm more at a 3.5.
Okay. Well, I have to give it 5 stars, even if I probably truly think it's 4 because it needs all the help it can get online, and everyone is crazy. Um, but I really do think it's really great. I really love it, and if you haven't read my Letterboxd review, you should.
Oh, I read it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Anyway, okay, so what are we doing next week?
All right. Next week, we're doing The Long Walk from 2025.
Okay. Good talk. Until next time.
Until next time.
Horror Coast to Coast is a movie review podcast featuring strong language, horror film spoilers, and discussions of violence, gore, and disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share Alike 4.0 International License. For additional information and other media content, visit theferalthread.com.
Thanks for listening. Until next week.